But this pay-per-view upcoming this weekend, WWE Backlash from Puerto Rico. And it's actually going to be interesting just to watch SmackDown this week because they're going to have it set up with the set because as WWE has been doing lately, everything is a stadium show. And if it's not a stadium show, it's as big of an attendance at a regular arena as they can get. Good for them. So this Backlash is going to be a whole arena feel. They're going to probably come out like the locker room entrances, and they're not going to set it up twice. So we're going to get it set up once for SmackDown and for the event on Saturday night. And as usual, if I'm not attending it, most likely I'm not watching it live. That's not a diss. That's not a diss on Backlash, by the way. That's just, I'm very busy a lot. And if I'm going to these shows, and then, I'm there and I'm watching them, but I won't be going to the show. So I actually won't be watching it live. So I'll leave it up to you to put out anything on Twitter live related to Backlash.
I'll be straight with you. I might not be watching it live either.
I will be in Pittsburgh at a baseball game on Saturday night. I will be in Pittsburgh at PNC Park.
I take that back. I probably will. I'm interested to see because it's not like they're making a big deal about this.
And we've discussed this. I love Saturday night pay-per-views as someone who attends them, but when I'm not attending them,
it's not that big.
Then I find myself doing something else on Saturday nights. No, it's not a stadium. But what I'm saying is,
it's cool though that they're there.
I mean, the arena holds 18,000, right? Which is a typical arena, I guess, a big arena, But the difference is they're not going to be putting up the Raw or SmackDown set that blocks off, one end zone of seats.
Well, aren't they selling 2 for 1? Essentially, aren't they trying to dual package it?
They already did, and they did that for Money in the Bank. It'll be the same way. Is that they originally sold it as 2 for 1, and then if any tickets remain, they'll sell them separately.
Yeah.
But essentially, they sold out, and same for Money in the Bank. I think they did put a few single tickets on sale for Backlash that sold out. So essentially,
it's a hot ticket.
It's going to be the same crowd. They want to just ensure, because here's the thing, and I'm 100% honest with you. Money in the Bank, hot ticket. The hottest ticket in WWE all of this year, if not for the last couple of years. The SmackDown the night before, probably not as hot, right? So one way that we can ensure butts in the seats for that show is make you have to buy one for the other. They do it in sports all the time. Hey, you want to buy that Dallas Cowboy versus Giants Monday Night Football ticket? Sure, we're going to sell it if you also buy this preseason Giants game as well, because we want to butt in seat for that, and you're like, hey, I want to go to this big time event so bad that I'm gonna buy this. I want to go to Money in the Bank in London so bad that I'll buy a SmackDown night ticket if I have to do it. I want to go to WrestleMania so bad that I'll buy the Monday Night Raw after ticket to go with it if that is something you make me do.
Yep.
Right? It's like, it's typical marketing, right? And they know that Puerto Rico, it is a little bit of a tougher market because, the money there isn't just flowing and you don't obviously have the ability of people driving in from exterior places, right? You're focused solely pretty much on the Puerto Rican crowd. So trying to sell 2 shows is tough individually.
I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people traveling for it.
I don't know about plenty, but yeah, there'll be people traveling. I was looking into it myself.
Is it that expensive to get to San Juan?
It's not that expensive. I just was looking. I just prefer that when I do get to San Juan, and I would like to make a little bit longer of a try. Like if WrestleMania was here and I can make 4 or 5 days, absolutely. But for a weekend,
Puerto Rico would be fun to go.
Absolutely, and that's why I think it was kind of like I don't want to spend that kind of money and really only be there for like a day. Fly in on Friday and fly out on Sunday. I do want to go and kind of maybe spend some time there.
Maybe make a weekend.
Yeah, I would have, and I'm not saying you can't do that here, but just coming off of WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and all these other pay-per-views I went to, I just wasn't in the cards to make some time at this junction.
I'm just looking at the card, just kind of, glancing over it. I do like this card. I think it's
a good card. I mean, it's a Roman Reigns free card. It's a championship free card. There is no world championship on the line here.
Nope.
But Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar, I don't think this is the last time we're going to see them. But I mean, that's an interesting match nonetheless. I think they've been doing pretty well with that. I don't know if people are still over the sting that Cody Rhodes isn't a champion, but oh well. And a good example of what we've kind of talked about in the past where people think people need to have championships. Do you think this match would be that much bigger, Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar, if Cody Rhodes was the champion? You can still have these matches, folks. I actually maybe sometimes more intrigued when the championships are on the line, because sometimes the championships are interferences to see, like, all right, we know who's going to win this. A good example of that is Rhea Ripley versus Zelina Vega. We just had the draft, people. Rhea Ripley and Zelina Vega, while they did get drafted to the same show, I don't think Rhea Ripley is losing this belt. You know what I mean?
No,
I don't think Bianca Belair is losing her belt to Io Sky. She's the Raw Women's Champion. She's going to take that belt over to SmackDown. I mean, there you go. There's another great example.
But there is one belt that you could see change hands, and I think it could be the United States Championship. I feel like one belt's going to flip.
I guess my thing. So Austin Theory's on SmackDown. Bobby Lashley, what is he on?
SmackDown.
He's on SmackDown. And then what is Bronson Reed on? I know Bronson Reed got drafted later on. I'm checking up right now. Bronson Reed.
He's Raw.
He's on Raw. So there you go. I mean, these are kinds of things. So if you if you want,
hand, it's either going to be Bobby Lashley or
because if Bronson Reed wins the belt, he's going to take it to Raw. Then obviously that means somebody, Gunther's going to have to come back to SmackDown. We're just not. They've already done this. We're not having the IC and the US belt in the same show. We're not having both tag.
So you don't think there's any belts changing? You think it's a clean sweep?
Well, there's only a few belts on the line. Bianca Belair and Io Sky, right? Io Sky and Damage Control, they are on Raw, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
Right, so I'm going to, just double check here.
No, they're on SmackDown.
Okay.
They're on SmackDown.
So, Damage Control, they're on SmackDown. So, I guess that belt could change. I'm not seeing it happen, but that belt could change again because they're both on SmackDown. But yeah, I think Rhea Ripley... You just drafted Rhea Ripley as the champion.
She's not dropping the belt to Zelina Vega.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Cody Rhodes, you drafted as Cody Rhodes, but when they drafted Rhea Ripley, they drafted it essentially as we're drafting the champion. Yeah. Same as when we drafted Bianca Belair. We're drafting the champion. It wasn't a coincidence. They got drafted as separate shows, so one champion can be on one and one champion can be on the other.
You know what I'm looking forward to is I want to see how well Seth Rollins can make Omos look, because Seth Rollins can make anybody look good. I want
someone to make Omos look, and I want Omos to look good, because again, I don't understand how we're building this guy up, but then we're just like having him lose all the time.
Yeah, he needs to win matches to get any credibility, or he's going to be the next Khali. Like, he's just going to be a joke.
Yeah, and we obviously knew one match we were going to get, and that's Matt Riddle, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline. An interesting 6-man tag.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
It'll be entertaining nonetheless. It'll be worthy, I think, of pay-per-view.
So what do you think of Bad Bunny, Damian Priest? Do you think anything? What do you like? Are you excited for this match?
No, I'm confused. Because maybe you can tell me a little bit. But why are we not getting the Mysterios? In this match. I thought that was a foregone. When this all started, I said, because Bad Bunny, let's be real. Great talent for being a celebrity, but also I think it's better to sometimes hide these celebrities in tag team matches, right? And what a perfect way, because the storyline was working out exactly like that. Dominic and Damian Priest versus Bad Bunny and Rey Mysterio. So I don't understand why the Mysterios are not involved in this match.
That's an interesting omission. I'm curious to see, do they have Bad Bunny and Damian Priest close the show? Because Bad Bunny does have the record for the best attendance at that venue. So could WWE be hitting that drum a few times and trying to get some?
It'll be interesting to see what they close the show. I'm imagining it's Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar. The one issue with closing the show when something isn't a championship is essentially how are you going to close the show? Because they don't, if there's not a championship on the line. You want to know what's
closing the show? I can tell you what's closing the show. It's going to be Matt Riddle, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn versus the Bloodline. That's closing the show.
Yeah, but again, not the championship on the line. So
but there could be some.
You got to have it go off the air with something. Maybe go off the air with the Bloodline, kind of like having some sort of dissension.
That's what I'm saying. I think that's what could happen. I really think, and this is going to sound maybe crazy, but I think Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar kick off the night.
Yeah,
why WWE's done it before? Brock's been on early.
Yeah.
It's they don't need to make him as the main event. They could literally, and maybe Brock could say, maybe Brock has in his contract for all we know where he says, I want to be the first match so I can go home as early as possible. You never know with Brock Lesnar. He negotiates anything. To go back to the draft, he's a free agent. He can kind of go wherever he wants. He can negotiate what the hell he wants.
And when it comes to the draft, we didn't even see Bray Wyatt. They definitely didn't tip their hand with anything to do with him. The rumors are still all over the road with Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there.
We thought maybe they would clear that up. But we're speaking with Backlash here. So this show's in Puerto Rico. Night of Champions, obviously, the next pay-per-view at the end of May is going to be in Saudi Arabia, and that's when they're crowning the new champion. I think it's a good card. It's a good card that could definitely fill up an arena. I like the idea that it's in a new venue. It is probably overall in the last 12 months, probably, if you were to say between Money in the Bank last year and today, so last July the 1st to today, and rank all the pay-per-views just on their potential, just on their cards, I would say this one might be last. This might be the lowest. It just, they've had such a streak of like these big time. I mean, even at Elimination Chamber, they put out Brock Lesnar and Bobby Lashley, a WrestleMania caliber match in the middle of Elimination Chamber.
Not every pay-per-view is going to have bangers every match. You know what I mean?
I'm not even saying matches that end up being good. I'm just saying you're selling the card. Like you're looking at the card and saying, I got to watch that.
You want to know what's selling it? I could just, I'll let you in on this one. I think it's kind of obvious. Bad Bunny is going to be in a match, and
it's definitely selling the tickets.
Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. Those are the two things.
Bad Bunny is definitely selling the tickets in relation to his Puerto Rican ties, and that's like a feel-good thing. You know what I mean? The hometown guy.
And I think that's going to be a good match
in San Juan.
That's going to be a good match. I feel like him and Damian Priest have been working on some stuff already, obviously. So I think that match, I could be wrong, but I think they're friends too. Like they're friendly outside of the business. So I feel like sometimes the best
I could definitely see
friends.
Bad Bunny and Damian Priest because of the Puerto Rican thing closing the show without a doubt. There's definitely no doubt there. I could see that closing the show. I could see Brock and Cody closing the show. I could see the 6-man tag closing the show.
There's definitely enough. There's definitely enough matches that I think it'll be a halfway decent show. I think we're underselling it a little bit. I think it's going to be a decent show.
One thing I would ask Triple H, if I ever could ask him, and I just never really understood when they go to places like this. It's like, why weren't, like, what is the big reason? There's got to be reasons why they don't do these things. I understand wrestling is hot right now and it's hot in Puerto Rico, but you're telling me it wasn't hot enough a year ago? You're telling me it wasn't, I mean, you had a pay-per-view here 18 years ago. What necessarily in those 18 years made you every single month after month, hundreds, 300-400 months go by for you to go, nah, not Puerto Rico this month. Not Puerto Rico. Like, it's cool you're going back there now. And I understand the Saudi Arabia thing. That's 100%. I understand why they go there and why they go there as often as they do. But you just wonder with certain markets, like, what took so long? You're like, oh, yeah, it's hot. We're going to sell out. Yeah, I could have told you that, though, a while ago. I don't necessarily know. Like with London, a great example, Money in the Bank, they sold out. We can't wait to go to London. Or with Clash at the Castle, when they did that last year. Great. But why now? Why not last year? What was stopping you from having SummerSlam here last year, the year before, the year before, the year before?
Why is it taking almost 20 years?
Yeah,
to get a show there. Like, it's interesting. I think a lot of it has to. And here's
why don't we have a Raw here all the time? Why isn't a Raw in Puerto Rico as often as a Raw is in anywhere else?
I'll tell you why. I think the reason why they're doing it now is because of the relationship that they've developed with Bad Bunny. I think that's exactly what it is. I think without the Bad Bunny presence, that he's obviously going to do some business with WWE for, even if this is this is it for a little bit, he's still done enough business with WWE to be like, hey, I'm an international star, I'm this and that, and this is where I'm from. We'll make a lot of money over there, down there. That's why they're going there. If it wasn't the Bad Bunny factor, they're not going to Puerto Rico again. I just don't know if they would. And you said it earlier, to your point, it's not always the best market. You know what I mean? So Bad Bunny draws up enough interest to make it so, all right, let's go down to Puerto Rico for the first time in almost 20 years.
I guess my thing is, kind of moving on to like the London ideas. Like, I don't like anytime they've gone to London, like they went to London in 2008 or 9 or 10. They go every year for like a Raw or a SmackDown, and they go and they always draw pretty well. And you're like, and how many years you watch WrestleMania and somebody has a sign that's like, London for WrestleMania next year, and it's like, okay, well, why not? Like, what's and maybe not. I understand, WrestleMania, maybe not, but like Money in the Bank could have been in London a long time ago. It's been in Newark, New Jersey, like twice. It's been in like Boston. It's been in Hartford, Connecticut. Like, there's no reason why like they couldn't have had these pay-per-views. Now they're doing them every year. Great, that's awesome.
Don't they go to? I feel like they've been. I feel like they've been to like Dunkin' Donuts Center a lot for these Backlash shows.
Oh, they've had I feel like the people who do, and they've talked about this before, the people who do the tours. If you look at a tour for WWE for a calendar year, you'll see not a lot of deviations. You'll see a lot of cities show up at the similar times of year, similar months. It's weird. They do things here and there to switch things up, obviously around WrestleMania and stuff like that. But when it comes to house shows, you'd be like, oh, look, they went to like Boston for a Raw in the fall and a house show in the spring. Like, it's similar. And obviously, like you said, Providence, Rhode Island has had we're going to count 1, 2, 3 backlashes, and 1 in Worcester, Massachusetts, which is in that area. So they have had 3 backlashes, and You know,
That's what I
that's a
thought.
lot
Yeah.
out of 18. Out of
Yeah.
18 backlashes for a city like this. Again, Providence isn't New York City. Providence isn't Chicago or LA.
Aren't they the only one that has more than one though?
I don't think they're the only one because Rosemont, Illinois, and Chicago. Because I do know that they've had a few in the Allstate
two.
Arena.
Oh yeah, two.
Yeah, so they've had some in the Allstate Arena in Chicago.
But it looks like.
But again, Chicago. Providence, Rhode Island. I mean, it's a great market, but I mean, it's an 8,000 seat AHL minor league hockey arena.
Yeah, it's where the
so it is weird that
University
it's but it's got
Providence
multiple.
plays, or Providence University plays
Yeah.
there, right? Yeah.
So it's weird that it's gotten so many of those. I think Dunkin' Donuts Center actually it's got a new name, and so next time they go there, it's going to be under the Amica Mutual Pavilion.
Oh come on, you got to
Yeah.
keep it under Dunkin'. Come on.
But yeah, I mean,
I'll
obviously,
still
like
call
we're
it
looking at
Dunkin'.
2005 Backlash, right? In Manchester, New Hampshire, great little city up in New England. But yeah, you could have been in London for that one. I mean, I don't understand. I wish I knew WWE a little more. Those would be kind of some of the questions I would ask. But as for this Backlash, they are doing things different. They're in Puerto Rico. They're making it a big time feel, as they're doing with every single pay-per-view. Even when it shows up on this card as more of a B-show looking pay-per-view. But hey, when tickets went on sale, it got the hype and it sold out, and it's using the venue to your advantage because the pay-per-view itself in Providence, Rhode Island might not be the sexiest, but when you tie it with the venue and you tie it with Bad Bunny and you tie it with all that, that's what makes all of these pay-per-views seem bigger. I mean, go back to when we were kids. What do I remember about King of the Ring 2002? I remember the set more than I remember the matches. What do I remember about Armageddon's? I remember the sets more than I remember the matches. So you make the events seem bigger, by having these unique sets, by having these unique locations. I mean, obviously the last WCW Nitro sticks out on top of just being the last one ever, but it sticks out with that venue, that outside in Panama City, or is that Panama City, Florida? Am I getting that right? Panama City, Florida?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bash of the Beach.
Yeah. So, well, I'm just thinking of the last Nitro. That was Panama City. And again, the Bash of the Beaches, those kind of venues as well. So,
Nitro,
that kind of makes these events stick out. This Backlash sticks out because of the event, because it's not in Providence, Rhode Island at the Dunkin' Donuts Center, because it's at a unique venue, and you're curious to see what it's going to look like, what the crowd there is going to react to, all that kind of good stuff. And next week, we're going to recap it, all that and so much more. So Backlash is upcoming week. I'll be watching it on Sunday. I'll be in Pittsburgh. The first non-Saudi Arabia pay-per-view that I haven't gone to since Clash at the Castle. So I didn't go to Clash at the Castle last year. I would have if things would have worked out maybe a little bit better. But I did go to Extreme Rules, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, and then WrestleMania. So 5 non-Saudi pay-per-views in a row, but the streak ends for Backlash. But hey, and I won't be going to Night of Champions. I already know that.
Just like Undertaker's streak, sometimes it's just going to eventually end.